It's a little early to be doing this before I've had my coffee. All right, let's get into it.
One where he says, what is it? Nothing matters but this. He was at a school event at the wrong team's tent with a knife. He clearly chose murder than to walk away, cut and dry here. Nope, wrong.
That seems to be about it. That seems to be the Cliff Notes version. This is what happened. Wrong tent, wrong place, carried a weapon where he shouldn't have carried a weapon, and he probably should have handled it with his fists if the fight broke out with the fists, than resorting to a deadly weapon like a knife.
Imagine you are invited to a party at someone else's house,
Oh, please, Tim, go on.
and you are legally carrying a firearm. And then a fight breaks out, and or like an altercation breaks out between you and some guy, and there's drinking involved or whatever. I'm not trying to make a 1-for-1 scenario. I'm trying to create a potential scenario separate from this one.
Tim, if I was invited into a place and drinking was involved, I wouldn't be the one drinking because alcohol and firearms don't mix very well.
With similarities. You go to a party. No, yeah, let's say you go to a party. And some guy starts saying stuff like, yo, man, get out of here. And you're like, I can do what I want. I was invited to the party.
Yes, Tim, you were invited to the party, therefore you have the legal right to be there. Legal right to be there. But someone says or tells you to leave, I would take that as an indication that my legal right to be there has therefore been rescinded, so I no longer have a legal right to be there. I am therefore trespassing if someone told me to leave. Are you following? So if someone told me to leave, why would I continue to stay and possibly cause a fight?
Verbal altercation escalates, and then the dude, you're standing there, and you pull your sweater back, and you've got a gun. You put your hand up and say, "Don't come close to me, bro. I'm warning you right now. Do not come close. Do not take another step."
Yeah, Tim, I just think you don't understand what reasonable use of force is. That's not something that's only applied to police officers in the military. Reasonable use of force equally applies to civilians who are carrying a weapon on them. If someone tells you to leave and you say, don't come any closer, reaching for a gun, that's not a reasonable use of force. That is an escalation of force. You are the one looking for a fight. You're perfectly explaining why Karmelo Anthony is the one in the wrong.
Then the guy grabs your arm and makes a move, so you draw your weapon and you use it.
So that's a wild escalation of force right there. Someone puts their hands on you, trying to remove you from the premises, is not a justifiable reason to shoot them and possibly kill them. You mean to tell me that you are in a party, you have the legal right to be there, that legal right to be there was later then rescinded, and then your justifiable use of force is to defend your right to be there with a gun? Or in Karmelo Anthony's case, a knife? Are you stupid?
Okay, make the argument you have no right to defend yourself when you're being attacked by a guy.
Yeah, here's where that would actually be defensible, right? If someone out of nowhere just started attacking you in a rage, you have the legal right to defend yourself. You have plenty of eyewitnesses that witnessed the guy just out of nowhere, out of the blue, spontaneously just decide to throw hands at you. And they were in an effort to try to kill you. So you reasonably used force because the situation had escalated to a life-threatening encounter. So you use a equally life-saving, life-ending tool to defend yourself and possibly others at the scene. That's not what happened with Karmelo Anthony. He was at the wrong place, at the wrong tent, with the wrong classmates, carrying a knife on school grounds where he shouldn't have been, and he escalated the situation worse than he had to, and he killed someone. Yeah, that's like 7 or 8 fuck-ups right there.
Make the argument. By all means, go ahead and do so. I ain't going to do it. I don't know the circumstances. You can argue that you're in a place you're not supposed to be. You can argue it's that guy's house, and it doesn't matter. A guy can invite you into your neighbor could be like, come on over, brother. And then if he gets physical with you, you can defend yourself.
Yeah, you had the legal right to be there. You were then told to leave. As inconvenient as that may be, the solution can't be threatening the guy saying, "Put your hands on me and see what happens." And then the moment he pushes you with his hands, that you pull out that weapon and then shoot him or stab him in the chest, that is not reasonable use of force. That is a gross escalation of force and can be seen as murder.
And then what? The police are gonna be like, "Well, you were in his house," and it's like, "Yeah, you invited me in." It's like, the door was.
All right, that's crazy as hell.
So yeah, let's just look at the order of events. Karmelo Anthony had school students visiting his school for a track meet. He was at another school's track meet, whatever the case is. He was under a tent in the bleachers. The students that actually went to that school's tent told him he had to leave. And he said, "No, I'm staying here." So Karmelo Anthony wasn't invited to that tent. There's no one saying that he was. And then he escalated that by saying, "If you put your hands on me, go ahead and put your hands on me. It won't end well for you," or whatever the wording was that he used. That's an escalation. Just leave. Just leave. You didn't have to escalate it further. If someone told you to leave and you weren't supposed to be there because that's not your school, someone told you to leave. Leave. Why get defensive? What, was it raining and that was the only tent you could find? I'm sorry. Take some water. Jesus. And then then you say, "Put your hands on me, see what happens," or whatever the wording was. Then he takes that invitation because you are the one looking for a fight. He probably didn't notice that you were reaching for something in your backpack, probably because you're not supposed to have knives on school property. Yeah, schools are gun-free zones, but they're also knife-free zones as well. He probably didn't expect Karmelo Anthony to stab him in the chest with a freaking knife. So, yeah, he pushes him. Karmelo Anthony invited him to push him, and fucking Metcalf did push him. He probably shouldn't have taken that invitation. He probably should have just called a school resource officer to handle Karmelo Anthony. I don't know. Everyone kind of fucked up here. So yeah, I mean, everyone kind of fucked up. But I don't think that the student that died should have got stabbed in the chest for pushing Karmelo Anthony. That's a gross escalation of force. You were somewhere you shouldn't have been. You had a weapon that you were prohibited from having on school premises, on the campus. You were told to leave. You didn't. You escalated verbally. He met that verbal invitation with force, and then you stabbed him in the chest and ran and tossed the knife. And when the school resource officer stopped you and said, "I found the alleged suspect," Karmelo Anthony said, "I'm not alleged, I did it." Are you kidding me? I'll see you guys next time.